I know that when I use the phrase barefoot shoes, some people get really upset and they will email or call or post on social media, you can't have barefoot shoes. You're either in bare feet or you're in a pair of shoes. Well, I'm the first to agree with you. You are absolutely correct. But here's the twist. Barefoot shoes is a phrase that has developed, actually we didn't develop it, no shoe company developed it, human beings did, to describe shoes or footwear that give you the benefits and fun of being barefoot, that allow your feet to move naturally and to feel the ground without having to necessarily worry. Something that is footwear but gives you a barefoot-like feeling and barefoot-like performance. Well, I'm going to agree in another way because the shoes that are sold to do that, they don't do it. In fact, there was a study that came out looking at people who were running in minimalist shoes versus people running in shoes versus people running barefoot. And it showed that the people who were running in the minimalist barefoot style shoes did not really change their form compared to how they ran in shoes, whereas people who were running really barefoot did change their form. In fact, even toe shoes, the five-finger shoes from Vibram, people running in those, many of them did not change their form either, because here's this fundamental problem with most barefoot shoes. They're not barefoot enough. They still have enough padding and control that they don't let your foot move naturally, and they protect you too much from the things that you want to feel. So look, your feet have a quarter of the bones and joints of your entire body. More nerve endings in the sole of your feet than anywhere at your fingertips and your lips. That means you're supposed to use these things. They're supposed to bend, to flex, to feel the world. If you don't let them do that, that's going to lead to a number of problems. So here's a common or well-known barefoot shoe. And let's look at the difference between this and say a pair of we'll look at the sandals in a second. Let's just take a look at this. So this is, quote, a zero drop shoe. The forefoot is at the same height as the heel, except that what's with this big giant curve right here? Your toes don't naturally do that when they're on the ground. You don't need that. In fact, it doesn't like to bend down the way your toes like to do at certain points when you're running. So how barefoot is that? Now it's really flexible this way. That's cool. Not so much actually at the really top where your toes also bend, but at the ball of your foot that's flexible. But this whole part here, this is stiff as a brick from here to here. There are some barefoot shoes that even advertise that they have a shank in the midfoot to keep the midfoot from moving. Your midfoot includes your arch, which likes to move. So that's problematic. Also, again, a lot of padding underneath here. Now, sometimes you need padding. If you're going to be on a really aggressive trail and you don't want to pay attention to what you're stepping on or in, look, I can make an argument for using padding there, but it's certainly not natural. And the other thing about padding is if you have something that's, let me hold this one up, that's stiff across the back, if you land on something pointy, this happens, which means you need ankle support because the sole made your ankle unsupported and unstable. But if you don't have that, you don't have that kind of problem. So be careful. The idea of barefoot shoes is just not as simple as people like to make it seem. Now let's take a look at something like our Zero shoes. Here's the other one. So here's our Amuri Z Cloud sandal. This is crazy, crazy, crazy lightweight. It has our Field True rubber for great grip and our Bare foam for a little extra comfort. Obviously, it rolls up and fits in your pack or your pocket. It takes up no room. It's as close to barefoot as you're going to get, except for, actually, if you're going to make your own sandals, our do-it-yourself sandal making kit, you can get our 4mm Connect sole, which really is just like you've replaced the sole of your foot with a bit of protective rubber. It's still this amazing ground feel, great barefoot feel with just a layer of protection. So whole different story. I mean, talk about zero drop. We like to say zero XERO drop because there's no elevated anything. There's a slight contour. And even this little bit, you could say, hey, there's a little toe spring in here too, except that there's nothing that prevents it from going the exact opposite direction. So there's nothing here that prevents your foot from moving completely naturally. And so why would you want to run in a pair of sandals instead of barefoot shoes? First of all, that freedom, that real natural movement. Secondly, the fit. Now, this is not a bad thing. Many people have wide 4 feet. Mine are a little wider than this, but this middle section here, man, I can't get these on my feet. Or this running shoe, just for the fun of it, there are a number of barefoot shoes that have this shape in the toe area. Look at your feet and tell me if they are this shape. And if they are, it's only because you've been wearing things like this for way too long. So another reason that you would want to run these, other than fit, hey, actually, speaking of fit, where did they go? Oh, here. So this is our Venture sandal. If your foot isn't shaped like this, you can actually trim these with a kitchen scissors and get a perfect fit. So fit is a great reason. Freedom is another great reason. Oh my gosh, it feels so good to run in a pair of sandals. Just because there's nothing else, there's only a little protection and something holding it on your foot. It's just totally, totally great. So the simplest thing I can say, the reason you would want to try a barefoot product is because of the freedom, the fit, the function, natural movement that you get, the feel, the natural feedback that you get with just enough ground feel so that you feel that you are getting feedback and just enough protection so you're not worried. This is our Umara Z Trail sandal. It's a little bit thicker, still great natural flexibility, but it's designed to give you natural movement plus protection for aggressive trails with our Feel True rubber, our trail foam to even out the bumps, our bare foam to give you that extra layer of comfort. So suffice it to say, that natural fit, natural function, natural feel, natural flexibility, those are all the reasons that you will want to get in a barefoot product, but just be careful that you don't get snowed by something that calls itself barefoot that frankly is no more barefoot than a pair of stilts.